back to my channel. It is Amber Shanice here, and today I'm going to take you guys along as I sew together my baby shower dress. Now, I'm not gonna come on here and act like I am super confident and I know exactly what I'm doing. This is gonna be a very relaxed, chill style, and you guys are gonna watch me work through all of the ideas that I have to bring this dress together, because I am not working off of a singular pattern and just creating a dress. I drew out my baby shower dress in the way that I want it to look, and I have two patterns that I'm going to use as my base patterns and create a new pattern off of that. So this is by no means a tutorial. This is a video strictly for entertainment purposes and just for your enjoyment and watching the process of me putting this dress together. And if you're watching this, that means the dress actually came out good. So thank the Lord that it worked. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this, because today I want to try to at least get this new pattern drawn out and possibly cut my fabric out. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things so you can see the inner workings of my brain right now and the way that I want this dress to turn out. I believe I can do this. This is also going to be interesting because I've never sewn a stretch knit fabric before. So this is going to be a brand new journey for me. And I just pray everything goes to plan the way that I am hoping for it to. So let's go ahead and just look at everything that I have to hopefully make this dress come together. So for starters, I'm going to show you guys my drawing that I did. This is the inspiration for this dress. So I really want a V-neck, but that's not too low, but I love the elegance of a V-neck neckline on myself. So I would love to do a V-neck, and I would love to have ruffled detail around the neckline of the dress with some dainty ties. I knew I wanted long sleeves. I knew I wanted a maxi dress and something that was fitted but super elegant. And I really want to add this draping around the bum and underneath the belly, so that it like highlights my belly. I think that that will be really beautiful, and have draped ruffles coming down in the front, all of which I have never done before, but I've done elements of each of these in different projects that I have sewn up. I am still very new to sewing. I would consider very new to sewing. Trying to do something pretty much from scratch, it's gonna be interesting. The added thing that's a maybe, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it yet, I'll test it out and pin it to the dress, are these little flowers made from the same fabric. I will see what that looks like after I assemble the entire dress together first without it, and see if that part looks good with the fabric that I have. This is gonna be my fabric for my baby shower dress, and it is so beautiful. I absolutely love this fabric, and the seller for this fabric, amazing customer service. So I will link where I got this down below. It is a seller off of Etsy. This is a rayon modal spandex jersey knit fabric. It's very stretchy. It feels very cool. I just feel like it's gonna be the perfect material for this dress. And I do really like the color. Online it says that this is a dusty pink, and I would say that this is somewhat of a dusty pink. In person, the color is a little bit off. It has a little bit like of a salmony undertone in person, but it's still very beautiful nonetheless. Like this is still a very beautiful pink. It just has this ever so slight salmon undertone that you can't really see through the picture online, but that's sometimes to be expected when you're buying fabric online because you don't have it physically in front of you. But minus that slight color difference, I think that this is the perfect fabric. And I got 5 yards of this because I was not sure how much I would need, and I knew I needed a lot of ruffles, and I needed it to be long and all this extra draping. I said, let me get 5, let's be safe, to make sure I have enough fabric. I think that this will be enough. I even debated getting 6, but I didn't want to do too much. For my inspiration, I'll throw them up on the screen all around me right now. The 2 dresses that I'm going to be using, the patterns to be the body of this dress that I get to alter, are going to be patterns by Dressmaking Amore. She has beautiful dresses that she makes for her daughter. These 2 in particular, the hazel dress and the ruby dress, I thought will be perfect for the base of this, and I'm going to figure out a way to just kind of morph these 2 together, because I really liked the V-neck on the hazel dress. I like that it does not plunge down too low and that it still has a modest plunge line. The only thing with that dress is that it's designed for more chunky knits and has a little bit more room to it. But I do like the neckline, so I'm gonna figure out a way to take the neckline and the length of that dress and combine it with the ruby dress because I like the fit of this dress. I feel like this fit is going to be the perfect base for the fit of my dress, but I just don't want that curved neckline, but everything else fits very well. And then I'm just going to lengthen that one out. And then the rest of these pictures are the inspiration. So I'm gonna take inspiration from this ruffled neckline here. That one's far too plunging for me, but the ruffle and the tie is very beautiful. I love that. And then there's this picture here that is also too plunging, but the idea of it is very beautiful. And so I like the ruffle and the way that it comes down towards the center. So if I could figure out a way to make that drape down like that, I will try that. And I also really like the way that the bottom of that dress lays. And I'm still determining if I'm going to incorporate that element on my dress because I love this mesh key dress. It's a viral dress, this mesh key dress. I love the sleeves on that dress, especially the bottom of the sleeves. And I love the way that that fabric ties around the waist. That is an element that I know for sure I want in my dress. And then the flowers on this other mesh key dress, that was the initial idea of the color and the fabric that I wanted, but I could not find something exactly like that. That dress was the initial vibe that I really wanted for the fabric and the flowers. So we're gonna just figure this out. We're combining all of these dresses together into the dress that I drew up from putting all of these together. So let's see what we get. Can we make this happen? So we're gonna go ahead and just get started. We'll set this aside and start figuring some stuff out here. So first things first, I'm going to take both of my patterns here, the ruby dress and the hazel dress, and I'm gonna take the front bodice of each of them. I know that I would need the sleeve from the ruby. Okay, so here's the ruby front, and here is the hazel front. So I'm gonna compare these two and see what we're working with here. So I can see this has a cinch at the waist. This one does not because it has a tie that goes with this dress. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna grab my trusted paper here and we're gonna draw out a brand new neckline to start off. So let's get that out of the way. I'm starting off by tracing my hazel dress first on my paper, and then I will make the adjustments. So I'm gonna go in very lightly . And trace this in. Lift that up. And I'm gonna come in with the ruby and adjust some things. So get this to be more fitted. So I'm gonna bring up the armhole higher. Add in this dart here and the new side shape. There's like 1/2 inch that I'm taking away at the front center fold. So I have that, and now I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this out. So I'm just hopping in now for a quick voiceover. After cutting out my new pattern piece that I just drew up, I am laying it down on top of the ruby dress pattern, and I am lengthening my dress just to the hip line so I can have the look of the ruby dress fitted through to my hip. And then after I establish where that hip line is on the ruby dress, I am going to switch over to the hazel dress and lengthen the dress all the way down and adding about 5 to 6 inches to the bottom of the dress so that it can be a full maxi that is touching the ground. I didn't show this on camera, but now that the front of my dress is complete, I went ahead and copied those exact same steps to lengthen the back of my dress as well. And the only thing that I changed other than the length for the back of the dress was the shoulder, so that it was the same width as the new shoulder that I created. And I also decided to go ahead and cut those pieces out of my fabric just so I could have a better idea of how much fabric I had left over. And I'll further explain what I did after this in the next clip. It is the next day and you guys saw me last cutting out the fabric pieces that I said I wanted to go ahead and just kind of get cut so I could see how much fabric I had. And last night I decided to just really lock in and figure some stuff out because I knew it would take me some hours to really figure out what it was that I was doing. And I decided to just not film it so I could get all of these pieces cut out. Now, I am very pleased to say I was able to cut out every single piece that I needed, and I have so much fabric still left over. I'm gonna show you guys all the pieces for this dress. Even though it's not a tutorial, I just think it'll be fun to just kind of see what pieces I came up with in order to make this dress kind of come together. Praying that it still works. I feel really good about all of these pieces, and I do believe that this dress is gonna come together really beautifully. So I will insert now a little clip of me getting together these pieces that are right in front of me. I took the front piece of the dress and I just cut out this front section so that I could have a space to add my flounce into, which I cut out last night. Let me get the pattern pieces that I drew out. So in order to get all of these pieces, I have never done flounce before, so I didn't really know how it works, and I had to do a lot of research in figuring out what is flounce, how does flounce work, what are the different types of flounce, and all of these things. And so I did a lot of just research on my own, trying to figure out what I needed to do to make this dress work, because this pattern doesn't exist. I came up with this pattern on myself. So I decided to do a flounce that looks like this. So this spiral. And this is the pattern piece that I drew out. And this is really messy. I just freehand drew this out. There is no rhyme or reason to how I did this. I just kind of drew it in there and cut out the shape that I made. But essentially I just kind of made a, how wide did I make this? I make it 6 inches, I think, or 5. I did a 5-inch flounce. So I started off just skinny here. I started off a little bit thinner, and I just made this spiral essentially, and this just turns into this. And this is what's gonna cascade down the front of my dress, and it's gonna be so cute. And so all I have to do is just finish the edges off so it doesn't have raw edges. But this is basically what that gave me, this really pretty dangly flounce that I'm like, I can't believe I actually did that. I'm excited. So I have 2 of these. These 2 pieces I'm going to insert inside of that opening of the dress to create this section of the dress. I'll have my picture up on the screen and kind of showing you guys what parts I'm talking about so it kind of makes sense. So I have my flounce that will go between that section of the dress that I cut out. You already saw me make the pattern pieces for the back of my dress, and these are cut in 2 instead of on the fold like the front of the dress. And so I will assemble this the way that the Ruby pattern said to assemble this dress. That's how I'm going to be assembling this part. So I cut both of those out of my fabric. These are the back panels. I also have the flounce for the collar, and I essentially did the exact same thing but just much thinner. And so I did a 3-inch flounce. This one's gonna be really hard to like straighten out, but it's literally the exact same spiral like you just saw, but just in 3 inches and a lot longer. I made this one a lot longer because I want to be able to attach it all the way around the neckline and have some dangling in front. And so this is what the front flounce is looking like. And I do feel like I may need to cut this one, but I will see how long they are after I attach it to the dress, and I will cut it afterwards. I will just wait and figure that out after the fact. So these are gonna be the pieces for the front, and I cut out 2. So I'll start at the back of the neck and attach it going towards the front of the neck and let the rest dangle down. So those are the flounce pieces for the front. I then have the binding, neckline binding that I will be putting around the neck. And this is just the regular binding for the Hazel dress by Dressmaking Amore. And then I just used one of the patterns that I had on hand, one of the front tie pattern pieces that I liked, that I thought was dainty enough for this dress. I cut out a piece for the tie on the fold, and so that's there. And then for the bottom of the sleeves, the part that goes around the wrist here, I cut out 2 pieces for each because I wanted like a double ruffle around the sleeve. And so I did a 3-inch circle for the top part of the sleeve, and inside of here, this is the same circumference of the ruby dress for my measurement. That's going to be the 3-inch circle, and then the larger section I did a 7-inch circle, so there's a 4-inch difference when they're laying on top of each other. That's going to be super cute, and that's going to be for the sleeves, and that's these pieces here. And last but not least, the wrap that goes around my bottom area. For this, I'm going to have to put it on me and see how much length I'm gonna have to cut off. I did 20 inches wide. I just did the length that I had in my fabric left so I could make sure that it's long enough, because I truly don't know how long I want these ties to be until I have them on me. So it's longer than what I need, but the width is 20 inches wide, and I will adjust the length after I have everything sewn up to me. So yeah, that is that piece there. That is the last piece I need, in addition to the elastic that I'm going to need for the center back part of this, because I'm doing this like ruche detail, which I will explain a little bit more when I get to that point. Yeah, those are all the pieces that I cut out for this dress, and I pray that this comes together. I pray that all of these pieces work and do what I need them to do. Now, another fun fact, I think I mentioned it already, but I have not sewn stretch fabrics. So last night I was in here playing with my serger, playing with my sewing machine, and just doing a bunch of different stitches to see what reacted with my fabric the best and what tension to put things on and all of those things. And I just determined for my serger machine, I think I'm going to be doing my tension at a 4. I really liked the way that this one still stretched really nicely with the fabric. And then when I do need to use my sewing machine, I did put a stretch needle inside of my machine. I'm using number 4 on my brother machine. And also to hem later on, you will see I'm gonna be playing with it. I haven't tried it just yet, but I was doing some research on it last night to learn how to hem on my serger. I'm gonna figure that out because I'm gonna need to hem the bottom of those sleeves and all of the flounce. That is everything that I have. And now for the most exciting part, let's actually start sewing. I'm going to begin with the front of my dress, and I have already marked out where I need to apply my darts for this dress. And then now I'm gonna pin them and sew them. And I'm going to be using number 4 for this stitch. And now I'm gonna go ahead and pin and sew these darts together. Now that I have sewn those darts in place, I'm just gonna go ahead and press them going down, just like this. I am now taking the 2 back panels of my dress, and I'm going to lay them out evenly and sew it together at the back center seam. And to sew this together, I'm going to be using my serger. Pinned along the entire back seam, and now I'm going to serge on my machine. All of the tension for each thread is set to a 4, and I'm just going to serge like normal. So I just finished pressing that back seam and it looks very neat and I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to be attaching both the back of my dress and the front of my dress at the shoulder seams and the side seams using the exact same method. Right sides facing. And I also, while I'm at it, just so I could press everything at the same time, I'm going to sew together my sleeves as well, right sides facing right along the long part of the sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and run through that section as you watch the process. Okay, so I have just finished sewing up the side seams and the shoulder seams of my dress and everything is looking really good. I also went ahead and pressed that down so everything was all ready. And now I'm going to go ahead and start on my sleeves. On both sleeves, I'm going to sew up right along this outer edge on my serger once again and press that seam flat. Both of my sleeves, I have sewn them up and I've pressed the seams flat on both sides. And now I'm going to go ahead and sew the cuffs onto the sleeves. But first I need to attach the cuffs together. So to do so, what I will be doing is taking both the large piece and the small circle and laying them right on top of each other like so. And I'm going to take my sleeve and make sure that I flip it right side out. So now it's the right way. Just gonna lay my sleeve right down at the center of that circle and then I'm gonna fold this section over as well as this section here. So fold them both over and now I'm able to just grab a hold of my seam. That's just where I'm gonna start and I'm gonna pin that seam in place. And it's honestly easiest just because this is, you know, a stretch fabric. I'm gonna pin this all the way down. I'm gonna take it to my serger just like this and stretch as I'm serging. I'm gonna stretch this around the armhole part of my serger machine and even everything out as I sew. So I'm going to just take my sleeve now and even everything out, all 3 layers, so that they're all lined up with one another perfectly. I'm just going to stretch that over this section, lift up my presser foot, I'm going to lay that inside, and now that's grabbed a hold of that, which is good. Now I'm just gonna start sewing. I'm just gonna pick it up right underneath here. Just make sure everything stays flat and there's nothing bunching on the inside. I don't want to catch anything I'm not supposed to by mistake. So I'm going to be inserting my sleeves into my dress. So I'm gonna take my sleeve and just insert it inside my dress, line up my side seams, and pin all the way around. I've inserted the sleeves in both armholes, and now I'm going to go ahead and finish both of these with sewing on my serger and pressing. I finished putting my sleeves inside of my armholes, and my dress is looking really good right now, and I am so excited that the base of this dress came together the way that I imagined for it to. So I did just try this on to see if it fits, and I am so thrilled because this dress fits like a glove. It fits beautifully and hugs my belly exactly the way that I was hoping. Everything just fits very, very nicely. So I'm very confident now in continuing that everything is going to kind of come together the way that I really want it to. Now I'm gonna start working on my neckline, starting with my flounce. I have one for either side. I do actually have to finish the edges of my flounce, the outside edge. So I'm gonna go ahead to my serger now and practice that really quick, and once I get it down on one, I will show you guys on the other how I finish the outside of the flounce. So after some research, I figured out what would be best for my fabric with finishing off my flounce with a hem. And the best thing that I found to do for my fabric is to use my serger, and I removed the first set of threads on this yellow dowel. I switched my tension to a 5 for the 2 center dials, and I switched my tension to a 7 for the outer dial. And so I'm going to go ahead and finish the outer edge with my serger now, and I'll show you guys what the result looks like there. And I'll leave a link below of the video that I used for my machine that helped me figure out what I needed to do to get this to the right tension. And this is what my finished hem looks like. It's a really nice and just clean edge. I'm gonna go ahead and do the flounce on all of the pieces that needed right now. That way I could get it over with, and then when I switch my threads back, I don't have to worry about doing it later. I'm gonna hem my sleeves and the 2 pieces that go in the front of the dress. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, so I have finished all of my flounce. I finished my sleeves flounce, and I also shortened that bottom layer because it was just far too long when I had it on my hands. It was covering my hands completely, and I really wanted it to stop around this area. So I went ahead and just cut it off. And it's the inversion of what it was. Originally, I wanted the bottom flounce to be longer and the top flounce to be shorter. And I still could have done it that way, but I thought it was still cute just as is. So I left it just like this. So now I'm gonna take my neckline flounce, and I'm gonna go ahead and start pinning it all the way around, starting from the center back. And I'm gonna stop it right at the center front, or in the center back on this side, and stop it right at the front. I almost forgot that I needed to stay stitch my V-neck, and so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now with some stay tape. My stay tape that I have here is not fusible, so I just pinned it on, and I'm gonna go ahead and just straight stitch right along this V to hold it in place before adding the flounce. Now that I've stay stitched that V on my dress, I'm gonna go ahead and now add the flounce. My neckline flounce is all pinned in place, and I'm now gonna start working on the v-neck binding so I could pin this to what I've already pinned here. So I'm gonna take this v-neck binding and I'm gonna take it over to my serger and serge this outside edge. Sewing this V on my serger actually wasn't that bad, so I went ahead and did that. And now I'm going to take this seam and I'm gonna press it where one side is going up and the other side being pressed down. So I'm gonna press it like this. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and fold my binding in half. And I'm gonna give this a good press all the way around. My v-neck binding is all complete and now I'm going to attach this to my dress. Okay, so that binding is all pinned in place and I'm now going to take this to my serger and serge all the way around. All right, so I just finished sewing that neckline down and I pressed it as well. And I'm now going to take this and very, very carefully top stitch right along this very edge, catching the seam allowance along the back. Now this is the last part of my dress that I recorded on camera and I'll further explain why that was in a bit here. What you see me doing here now is sandwiching the flounce that I made for the bottom part of my dress in that V section that I cut out earlier, and then I'm gonna sew that into place. Alright you guys, so can we just talk about how beautiful this dress actually came out? I'm like in shock that this dress came out as good as it did from my drawing to what it looks like here now. I'm honestly proud that I was able to create this dress and that I got it done in time for my baby shower. I am filming this part of the video after the baby shower. It has been 2 weeks since my shower and the shower turned out so beautifully, and this dress fit the theme of the shower amazingly. It was honey and blooms and pink everything, and I absolutely loved it. Now I know I left you guys kind of cut and dry after I showed that it was time to pin this center part of the dress into place, and then I kind of went rogue and just kept sewing. I did show the majority of this dress, but I just want to go over a couple of things that I did add in that I did not show on camera because I was running out of time, and I know you could probably tell I'm a little bit out of breath. I am very pregnant. Baby girl can come into the world at any point at this time and I'm feeling it. Let me just say that. I'm definitely feeling it. So I just wanted to talk about what I did last on camera. So you guys were able to see that I sewed in this portion here, this ruffled section of the dress, and I inserted this panel, this triangle panel, back into the dress. So I showed that I cut this center piece out in order to be able to lay these ruffled pieces inside, and this is how it turned out, laying those ruffled pieces inside. Absolutely beautifully. Like it turned out exactly the way that I had hoped for in my head, and I'm so happy with the way that that looks. The same with the neckline. I just sewed this ruffle all the way around, starting at the back, bringing it all the way to the front, and then just left these tassels to hang down all the way in the front like so. Absolutely beautiful. Love it. Love the tie here at the front and the binding. All of this just looks really neat and nice. I love the way that the sleeves are looking. The double ruffle turned out super cute. I did not show this part on camera, but this wrap part that is going around my bottom, all that I did, it was super simple. I just cut out this long rectangle piece of fabric and I finished the edges all the way around, just like I did with the rest of the dress. With my overlocker, I just finished my edges just like so, all the way around. I will link a video in my description box on how I did this detail here. I added this ruching right here along the back, just to add a little bit of flair to the dress. I felt like it was cute to add it that way instead of just making it wrap around without anything, because that also could have been an option, but both would have been beautiful. And all I did, this is just a tie, like it's super simple. This is separated like this and attached to the back of the dress. I attached it, and all that I did was just take this, wrap it right underneath my belly, just like that. And you can adjust this to be however you want it to fit on your hips. So overall, combining those two dresses and adding all of my changes made the most perfect baby shower dress for me, in my opinion. So let's get some final shots in of this dress. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you found this video enjoyable. I am committing myself to trying my best to at least post twice a month in the coming months as I begin to navigate what life is going to be like with a brand new baby and a toddler, because I know things are going to get really hectic, but I really still want to continue making these videos for you all because I am seriously enjoying it so much. I want to stay consistent in some way, and I know that I'll get back on that weekly schedule once I figure out my routine again. From the last video to now, my baby shower came up, and there was so much to navigate with that because I did have my baby shower here at my home, and it was so beautiful. I'll insert some footage now so you guys can see. I had a super small, quaint little baby shower here at my home with all of the women in my life that mean so much to me. And with our son, we had this really big baby shower with a whole bunch of people, and I was like, I cannot throw something that big again. I really wanted to do something small, and I'm so happy I made that decision because we turned this house into the cutest like bed and breakfast looking cozy vibe with a bunch of flowers and beautiful photos. We transformed the kitchen and the living room and just arranged the furniture in such a way where it was just, the vibes were there. I hope that you guys truly enjoyed watching this video, and even though it wasn't a proper tutorial and it was more of just so along with me throughout this process of me trying to figure out how to make this dress come to life, I hope that it was enjoyable and it gave you some inspiration. So if you did enjoy this content, I would absolutely love for you to let me know down in the comments below, and give this video a like if you liked it, of course. And if this is the type of content that you guys like, I would love for you to join my family and subscribe. And thank you all again from the bottom of my heart for watching to the end of this video. I pray that you guys have a beautiful and blessed day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all in my next video.